Deep Dive with David Stendhal, where we trade without ego, no emotion, no greed, and no opinion. Before we begin tonight's video blog, please read over our trading disclaimer and remember to trade smart and accept the reality that trading futures is risky. This presentation does not provide buy-sell recommendations, and our information is strictly provided for educational purposes only. As always, trade at your own risk and analysis. Hey, it's David Sten with tonight's Deep Dive. It is April 11, 2018, and because of the big move that we actually had, at least in our trading, I'm going to deal with gold today. GLD is the ETF. Now, we definitely have a mixed bag here when it comes to the short, intermediate, and long term. Short up, intermediate down, and kind of a mixed bag here, kind of a turnover, phase with the longer term. So it's definitely mixed here. The technical rating, when you really look at things, they've been relatively quiet despite today's action, and they're ready for a move. Now, these can take a day or so to actually start to trigger, so this is kind of key to what I'm going to be talking about today, because we're actually running up against a resistance level. And with everything that's going on in the news, it's important that we actually watch gold. Shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that's watching the news and the potential things that are going on in Syria. So there's nothing really showing up here in the pro alerts, but when we actually look at the market, this will give you an idea as to what's taking place. This is the resistance level, and there's twofold, at least on the daily bar basis. We've got this major 50 right here, and then we have another one that is 50, and it's just concluded, so it's just elongating right now. So what this means is that when you actually kind of attach these two, you can see that we have major resistance to the market, and that's what that the little plot was on the deep dive, resistance. So it's just kind of telling you that here is something that's taking place. And earlier today, I was doing a brief little webinar that I do for value charts, and what we do is we just do business hours, office hours, and we just kind of take a look at different types of markets. And so what I was saying at that time is that there's an opportunity for it to go up and see what we can do at this resistance level, and sure enough, we did come up. The high in gold, at least as of right now, was 1369.40, if you will. And this level of resistance is at 1375.60. This one over here is at 1374.20. So we haven't touched it, but we're going into it. And so that's major resistance. And what this means is that obviously there's a lot of people that are looking at uncertainty in the markets. And obviously there's always a play on gold in those particular instances. But what's going to happen here is that if we're able to penetrate with fear these particular levels here. Let's take a look at a weekly chart, so to get a little more clarity here. If we're able, and you can see it here as well on the weeklies, this number is 1374.20 based on weekly bars. Each of these are weeklies. If we're able to break this particular level right here, the next logical level is over here at, let me just pull this up here, at 1395.70, and this is the primary one because it's longer and bigger. That one's at 1412. So you can see that there's opportunity for the market if it's able to break through that resistance level, that if we're able to get to that level, then it should have the ability to go up and touch either of these two levels. The first one obviously 1395.70, and the second level being 1412.10. So just keep those in mind, that when it comes to our systems and the way that things have been trading as of late, I'm just going to point this out. Some of our bigger trades that are actually out there, we're doing really well in hogs, which are flat right now, meaning they're hedged actually. We got a nice position out here in sugar, and then in gold, we've got a nice position. And if we take a look at it, a lot of it has been made just in the recent couple of days. We've got a couple that went off on the 6th of April, a couple, 3 that went off on the 10th, and then we had this daily that went off on the 2nd. So all of the systems have been kind of pressing themselves, getting in, and then not necessarily liquidating, but just simply adding more and more systems. Now, a lot of these are daily systems, and some of them are going to be more intraday type systems. So just bear in mind that we'll see what does take place with that resistance. I would suspect that we're going to, with the news that's out there, unless something changes, and the anxiety that's out there, that there's a big play here in gold. We're seeing a little bit in crude. So let's see what does take place. And if we're able to break through those levels that I was referring to, that there's a little more upside. But caveat is that there is a tremendous amount of resistance where we are now, and that if we're able to break that big if, then we've got some clear sailing to potentially the 1412 level I was referring to. So just watch that particular market, see how things kind of play out with the move that we actually saw on the daily bar. Look at it, this case, that it's been sort of brewing here for a little bit, where the market had a little bit of a bounce, a little bit of a retracement, and now that this particular surge that, we've seen this in the past where it has the little surge, maybe a little follow through the next day, and then it retraces. So that key support level, or actually resistance level that I was referring to, it's going to be very important. There's a little more upside when we look at the value chart indicator. It's barely gotten into overbought territory, so there's still a room for it to potentially continue on this upward trajectory. So let's see how things kind of work out, and we will take a look at another market tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.